Well, I'm pumped and excited to be here today. And Jana writes and says, I get my bees in March and I don't plan to use treatments. I'm wondering if it's possible to just do management and use powdered sugar down in the brood box. Hey, everybody, David Burns. So glad to be with you today. I'm still answering questions left over from my live stream. And thanks for your question, Jana. Got a few pages of questions still to go. Answered a bunch of them yesterday in my green chair, but some were left over. Let's get right into it. Good question, Jana. I mean, this is a common question that beekeepers ask me all the time about treatments. Now, I understand that you would rather not use treatments and use something that's it's integrated pest management, and so are treatments. But these are steps that you can take before you get into the treatments, like powdered sugar. Now, I will say that most studies indicate that powdered sugar does work, but it doesn't work extremely well at getting rid of all the mites. By the way, if you don't know what powdered sugar dusting is, it's when you take usually a cup of sugar, powdered sugar, and you just let it sift through the frames in each deep box. And the idea behind it is that the powdered sugar will collect on the bees' backs and on the bees, and the bees kind of clean each other up. And also the mites have hairs, and so the powdered sugar is a way of loosening the grip of the mites on the bees, and then the bees start cleaning each other up, and it's supposed to work. And there's been studies done, and it does work itty bitty tiny bit, but it is not the go-to single method, I believe, that you should be using to control the viral destructor of mite. You can couple that with other non-treatment approaches, like the use of a green drone comb that actually will trap mites on the drone brood. Then you can freeze the green drone comb and kill the mites that way. It's drone comb, a little bit of honey at the top, but you can see this has been in the freezer for a while. It's still cold. I just took it out. And so I like to remove it from the colony once it's pretty much capped over. This was taken out a little bit early, but that's okay. So we are assuming there are mites that are below the capped cells of these drones, and you can see some of the drone here. This is what it looks like once your bees draw the comb out on the green drone comb, and then once the queen lays the unfertilized drone eggs, they mature, they pupate, and once they're about, mostly capped over, you want to take it out and put it in your freezer for 2 days and let that kill all your mites. You can also do a mite break, a brood break, by caging your queen. I teach this a lot. I have a lot of videos actually here on my channel where I talk about how to do that. I show you how to do that. And it's a way of breaking the queen's brood cycle in maybe August, September, October, and that way you're breaking the mite's brood cycle to reproduce as much. That's another way. There's just many ways like this that you can help control mites before you get into treatments. But Jana, I will say there are times that even I try all these non-treatment approaches and my mite levels are still way too high. And you want to get about 3 mites per 100 bees or less. Less is better. And if you can't get it to that, you need to throw in some treatments. And there are a lot of treatments available today. Oh, and by the way, on February the 27th, we have a special live stream coming up. And that's going to be when we bring back Dr. David Peck. He's going to be with us to answer all of your treatment questions and a little bit about pest management and so forth. But a lot of you, I know you wonder about questions like this. And David Peck and I love working together at EAS for the Master Beekeeper program. And also he's been on our live stream before. And you guys really liked him. Of all the guests that I've ever had on my live stream, David Peck is your favorite guest. So we're bringing him back in again on February the 27th. So mark that live stream. So let's get back to Jana's thoughts here. There are a lot of beekeepers that do not prefer to use treatments. There are a lot. And some of them are friends of mine, and they're even certified EAS master beekeepers that will not use treatments, and they use other methods. You might call it more natural beekeeping. I don't know if that's really what you would say, but just using other methods. And so, yeah, it can be done. It's a little bit more work, but sometimes it's difficult because the mites can get the upper hand. That's a very good question, Jana. By the way, I'm going to be opening up something that somebody sent me, so stay tuned for that. Elizabeth said, is there anything one can do to keep moisture at a minimum in the hive during a rainy season? There really isn't. Bees are good at regulating moisture and temperature in their hive, Elizabeth, and so we rely on bees to do that. Remember, there needs to be moisture in the hive. It's needed for the bees to function, to raise brood. It needs to be there. But too much, especially in the wintertime, can be a problem. And so there is not much you can do to mitigate that. I think a lot of us try to ventilate the moisture out. There's a beekeeping is kind of divided into two groups. One group says, oh my gosh, never ventilate a hive, wrap it up tight as you can. Don't worry about if you wrap it up tight as you can, there won't be any moisture. I don't think that's right, or I don't think that, maybe they mean there won't be excess moisture, because you got to have moisture in a hive, right? But anyway, the other half says, no, you got to ventilate the hive in the winter. By the way, Reverend Langstroth, the creator, the inventor of our traditional Langstroth hive, he wrote several articles and books, and he was a big advocate of ventilating the hive in the wintertime here in cold USA. And, so you're always going to get, look, here's what I always say. I want you to catch this phrase that I'm going to share with you. There's two right ways to do something. And there's 3 ways. There's 10 right ways, right? There's 100 right ways to do something. And there's a lot of right ways to get bees through the winter or deal with ventilation, wrap or no wrap. There's a lot of right ways to do it. Just because one person has a way to do it doesn't mean that we need to simply tear down and destroy the other segment of beekeepers that are doing something successful that isn't that way. I think that's important. Okay, so there's not a lot you can do, Elizabeth, to get rid of moisture in your hive. Upper top ventilation, or definitely upper insulation, will help you a ton. That's where a lot of the moisture is coming from, is lack of ventilation on top of the hive. Hey, Robert, can a Langstroth hive be worked like a Warray hive, like adding boxes on the bottom instead of the top so bees can move more like a tree trunk? Oh, I see. That's a good question. The idea of, if you don't know what a Warray hive is, it is kind of like a top bar hive, only it uses square boxes, almost like a Langstroth hive. But inside, the frames usually only have top bars, like a top bar hive, but it's a square box. And true to Warray, you're right, Robert, a Warray hive, you super it or add boxes underneath of it. Where a Langstroth, you add boxes on the top. If you need to add a super on a Langstroth, you put it on top of the Langstroth, put another super on top. On a Warray, you pick the whole heavy hive up and put them on the bottom. So he's asking, can you work a Langstroth like you would a Warray hive? Of course you can. It eventually gets to be problematic, Robert. And it gets problematic 2 ways. Number 1, it's too heavy. If you've got a deep and 3 supers, you need to add another deep. You got to take the 3 supers off and the deep off to get 1 more deep under that stack of boxes. Okay, so it is heavy. That's true with Warray hives too. The second problem is, if you do have 2 deeps and now you're adding your supers underneath your deep, that is not the natural way that bees build in their natural habitat, like a tree. No, they don't. They keep adding their honey further away, higher up from the opening. And it makes sense, because if robber bees come in the front door, they're not instantly right there at the honey. They have to fight their way through the brood nest area. So honey is usually stored higher up in the colony. By putting it down low like that, I think it could really, really accelerate robbing in the fall. So I think, Robert, if you want to try it, many people have tried it, and you should try it 1 year and see what you get. Good luck. Hope your back holds out. Alex says, hi, David. I also want to address the question about you feeding 1-to-1 in February. I mentioned that I feed 1-to-1 42 days out before my first dandelions to build up my foraging force. With it being below 50 degrees, will the bees still take it down? They can, because sometimes, Alex, the temperature of the cluster or the bees below the sugar water is so warm, almost hot, that it can keep the sugar water at a temperature where they will consume it above 50 degrees. We're going to put it right in the center above where the bees are, right here. And it quits dripping once the vacuum grabs a hold of it. And we're going to set it right here above the bees. Bees are like humans. When we eat, we get hot. So when we feed bees and they start consuming food, they can actually have a better chance at making more heat. But you're right. If you put it on a hive and it's 50 degrees or below the sugar water, they're not apt to take it as quickly as they will if it's warmer. That's for sure. That's been proven. And so I do wrestle with that. There are days in February where it gets cold again, and I have been known to take off my liquid feed and put my winter bee kinds back on. I have been known to do that. Linda says, when the bees die and collect at the bottom of the hive, will the varroa mites stay on the dead bees? You know, I have shown pictures of people that send me pictures of their bees that have died in the wintertime. And it's interesting because the mites are all over the place. Typically, they're not on the bees. They are an exo parasite. They're on the outside of the bees. And so as soon as the bees die and they're not warm anymore, then the varroa mite, it can't stay warm either, and it dies and falls off the bee, falls on the bottom board or on top of the frames. I've seen them on top of the frames. However, they can stick because, as I said earlier, they're hairy and all the hairs get locked together like Velcro. You can find mites on dead bees, absolutely, but a lot of them will fall off, that's for sure. All right, let's open this up and see. This is actually from Anthony. I've already taken it out of the shipping box. And Anthony, I want to thank you so much for sending me something. You guys are great about sending me little things, and I appreciate it. Wow, look at that. Ooh, Green Ridge unroasted Ethiopian micro-lot coffee beans. If you don't know me that well, I roast my own beans, I grind my own coffee beans, and I love to get unroasted beans like this. So, wow. Anthony, you're a great supporter of my channel, so I appreciate it. You've been around us for a while, and you're on the live streams. You're always on my YouTube channel. I appreciate that. Comes in a cute little, a cute little bag. Look at that. I use this for smoker fuel? No, no way. Who said that? I would not burn this. It's too delicate and it's too awesome. But yeah. Oh, I love the smell of green beans, by the way. Let me take you on a tour real quick. Let's roast them and let's get a cup of coffee going. Now, in the wintertime, as you can see here, I've been roasting my beans in my shop in a black iron skillet. I do it for two reasons. It heats the shop up a little bit, and it's also fun, and I love the smell. So it is fun. You can control it, just stir them up like this. If you've never had the experience of roasting your own beans, I'm going to tell you, it really is good. I've always enjoyed campfires and wood stoves and wood burning. I've always enjoyed that. Now, I have used a French press before, where you put the water and the coffee grinds together, and then you press the filter down through it and drink off above the filter. But I like this. This is kind of the same way, but I don't know, I just like doing it this way now. I'll grind my beans pretty fine because they're going through a really fine filter, a reusable filter. I just let the hot water filter through the filter, and then I have a cup of coffee. And by the way, isn't that beautiful? Look at that cup. This is the same design that we used, that someone in our live stream was it Craig designed this for us, and we used them for Christmas decorations, Christmas ornaments on the tree. That was beautiful. Thank you for doing that, by the way. And anyway, that's a great coffee cup. I think these are available on our merchandise store if you want one. But it's the kind of the Van Gogh painting, Starry Night, and it's got a beekeeper standing there and looking out on his bees. By the way, my cycle that I run, my bicycle, it's painted. It came from the factory that way. It's a giant name brand of a giant bike, but it's a Starry Night color. Beautiful bike. All right, I'm going to taste this Green Ridge coffee. I do like Ethiopian coffee, by the way. That's one country. I've been to a lot of countries. That's one country I've not been to. But I've had Ethiopian coffee before. Oh, let me read this. I want to read this to you, you coffee lovers out there. Green Ridge coffee is not a commodity to be consumed, but an experience grown in cup of excellent caliber Ethiopian micro lots and meticulously graded 90 plus. Our beans objectively stand among the world's top 1%. This distinction is due in part to Ethiopia's climate and elevation, ideal conditions for cultivating coffee. Whoa, 1%. Okay, let's see what they taste like. Oh, that is good. I am a coffee connoisseur. I mean, yeah, I know coffee. I'll put up with bad coffee in a desperate situation, but I don't like it. You know, sometimes you can go get your car fixed and the maintenance shop has a coffee pot sitting there. It's been sitting there for like 3 days, I think. And they got those little styrofoam cups, you know, and little packages of sugar. And it tastes like like burnt coffee, sort of. Oh, but anyway, I can put up with that in a pinch. But I do love this, Anthony. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. By the way, if you guys do want to send me anything, here's the address. It's a P.O. box. You can send it our way. And I do appreciate it. A lot of you sent cards on my birthday and at Christmas time. Thank you so much for that. I always appreciate it. And by the way, Bobblehead David is here. If you don't know Bobblehead David, sure, he got this for me. Got me this, I think, last year, 2000. And see, it's focusing on his eyes now. 2024, I got this one. I have the original. Oh, I don't know where the original bobblehead is. Isn't he back there somewhere? I can't see him, but he might be up in the other studio. But anyway, his job is to help you guys know that you need to subscribe. Focus on me, camera. Let me get the sunglasses. Oh, gosh. Yeah. Okay, now it's focusing on me. Oh, it's a little crooked, isn't it? That's funny. Anyway, subscribe to my channel. We did reach 159,000. Thank you, guys. And it always helps me gain traction with every video when you give me a thumbs up and when you subscribe to my channel. Appreciate it a lot. It motivates me to make a lot of videos. So I've got a lot of things coming up, and I've got a new video coming out in the next few days that's going to be really good about ways that you can make money in beekeeping. And I can't wait to share that. I don't know. I think I may have 10 or 15 ways that you can make money in beekeeping, because a lot of you running up to this point have been like, I've been losing money. So be sure to watch those videos coming up soon. If you're watching me today and you're new and you're going to be starting beekeeping in the spring, let me encourage you to watch my video, How to Start Beekeeping. I made it a few years ago, but how to start is the same. And so here it is. I'll see you guys over there.